If you could live forever, would you?
Yes.
Okay, we're done with the interview.
Finish the sentence.
Yes. No, okay, sure, that's an attractive idea. But the way I look at it is the knowledge that I'm going to die that creates the focus that I bring to being alive. The urgency of accomplishment, the need to express love now, not later. If we live forever, why ever even get out of bed in the morning? Because you always have tomorrow. That's not the kind of life I want to lead.
But why don't you fear not being around?
I fear living a life where I could have accomplished something and didn't. That's what I fear. I don't fear death.
You don't fear the unknown?
I love the unknown. I love the, you know what I want on my tombstone? My sister has this in her notes, just in case I can't tell anyone after I die. On my tombstone, a quote from Horace Mann, great educator. Be ashamed to die until you have scored some victory for humanity.
Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, HEX. Today I have a very interesting guest here in my show. It is Luke from the GreenDayCrypto Show, and we will talk about things related to HEX, Richard Hart, our pull chain ecosystem. We will talk about what is the best things to do to onboard people and why we content creators do what we are doing. So with no further ado, let's bring up Luke from the GreenDayCrypto Show. Man, how's it going?
Great, man. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here and doing this with me and spreading all the awareness and bringing more eyes to HEX, because this is what we are doing. And this is one of the topics for today. But first, let's introduce yourself. You have been fairly new to the YouTube game, and I bet a lot of viewers want to know, who is Luke? What's your YouTube channel all about? And why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah, great questions, man. So my name is Luke. I born and raised in Central Washington, kind of a couple hours from Seattle. And I've lived in California for about 7 years, lived in Arizona for a bunch of years. And so I've seen a lot of different things, and I've had businesses in different areas. And I've had like 4 main businesses. I'm 37, and I've had 2 that were quite successful. One that was one that was very unsuccessful. And so I've seen the pros and the cons of success. I've seen how hard it can be to put your all into something and to lose everything. And I've also realized that some of the things that Richard Hart has taught need to be emphasized more, because if you focus and emphasize the wrong things in life, you're going to end up in a bad place. But if you can emphasize and focus on the correct principles in life, it can be a slow, it can feel like it takes forever, but within just a couple of years, your life can absolutely get turned around. So I'm a guy that got into HEX. I found Richard Hart, like 2017, bought a little bit of Ethereum in 2018, but that was like, bought it, forgot about it. I wasn't really into crypto. But then I really got into Richard Hart and started hearing about his project and Bitcoin HEX, and that turned into HEX. And there were some streamers that really helped me. One of which I always talk about is Trevon. And because of Trevon, I got in on day 9, not day 1. I wouldn't have been able to, I needed another voice other than just Richard's. Richard got me to day 2, but I was so trigger happy. I wanted to get in so bad. But there were streamers out there that were sharing their knowledge, that were adding value to me, and it made sense. Okay, I'm going to be okay. The worst thing that could happen is I get the same deal as day one. And I'm not going to go into all the details of that, but day 9 was significantly better deal than day 1 or day 2. And I have absolutely fallen in love with the HEX community, but I've known for about 6 months that I wanted to do this. I love crypto. I love true crypto. I love the principles of cryptocurrency and the opportunity that it can bring. And I also love that it doesn't come like that. Some people will say that, but that's like 1 in a million. That's like almost like winning the lottery. Not very many people get into crypto and get rich quickly. I mean, it's quicker than in other areas, but when I started a small business, I really started to see significant money about year 4. Like really, truly, that was about when it was. And so that's the cycle we hear about, 4 years. And so I started Green Day Power, or GDP, the crypto show, about 2 months ago. And I want to find a way to try to get to the people who have had a terrible experience in cryptocurrency because they got hoodwinked or scammed or convinced that SafeMoon was crypto. And I want to try to take what Richard Hart had started to preach, and I want to kind of take that baton and participate with all the people like you and Crypto Coffee and even people like Big Pep that have slowed down a bit. And I love things that aren't HEX too, but HEX is the shining light on the hill. I think it's the best thing that we have, and I hope that Pulse Chain will be that too. But yeah, man, I'm just a guy in his mid-30s that has had success, but has fallen in love with crypto more. And when I say crypto, I really mean the big 3. Like I've really fallen in love. There's a lot about crypto that worries me, but I've really fallen in love with the HEX community since the beginning, since before it was out. And it was time to get involved to try to pay it forward. I can't pay Trevon for his help on getting me to go from day 2 to day 9, but I can try to add value to somebody else like he added value to me. So I'm here to try to add value, and I'm super excited to talk to you because I met you, and I think you vaguely remember, but I met you in Lake Tahoe, and it was great. And what you guys did from a tour standpoint was just one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And so if I can do something different, but that adds even 1/100th of the value, I think my channel will be a success. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that story. Yeah, you told me just a couple of days ago that we have met already before in Lake Tahoe on the 5555 tour. This was a really special tour for a lot of Hexicans, and I really like when they're sharing their testimonials. Just Access to Life told me that we were able to bring him this click moment, you know, this aha moment, why HEX is so great. So this question also goes to you. What is your favorite feature of the HEX smart contract? For me, for example, in the beginning, it was staking, you know, that I was able to earn trustless yield. Then later on, I saw what price potential it had. And nowadays, today, it is for sure the community, because I've learned that the community is the reason why we are onboarding more and more people, why the price is going up, and why the price will keep going up in the future. But what is your favorite feature of the HEX smart contract?
So I'll give you 2 answers because I think the T-share is I loved HEX because of the community, because Richard Hart, because I felt like he was honest and this wasn't going to turn into a scam. Although you had to get through everybody saying it was a scam, it was sort of like I kind of got it from the get-go. This guy's going to rub people the wrong way, and some people can't get over that. And so they're just going to yell and scream that it's a scam. But I've heard too much. He would be the greatest scammer in history if he was, because he has preached for so many years. It would be the longest long con of all time. I mean, 6-7 years ago, he started talking about all of these values of a person that has high moral character and wants to help people. And we've now been proven right. 3 years of flawless uptime. HEX is a great project, and Richard Hart is a great founder. But to answer the question, really, it's the T-shares. I love earning yield. I love, you know, some people don't like liquidity provided. I love providing liquidity for the assets that I really like and care about. You know, ETH and HEX. We're always going to need those two. You figure out a way to provide liquidity and minimize the downside of impermanent loss. And I love that. But here's the answer I want to give to your question that might be a little off in left field. Good accounting. Now, good accounting is something that people don't use very often, but this is why I want to highlight good accounting. Good accounting is a feature that shows you that he's worried about everything. That when they're creating this, the game theory is not, let's get people in and then get to the next one and we have their money. And no. Once somebody profits, what is the next thing? The next hurdle? Well, it's taxes and it's IRS, Uncle Sam, or wherever you live, you have an obligation and a debt to pay, which is taxes. And so when your stake ends, it depends on where you live, but they thought about it and it wasn't just Richard Hart. Like this concept was something that was added towards the end of the formation of HEX. But I love that the HEX contract is caring even about the very end when we have to go talk to our accountant, that this is a way to help certain people in certain situations. And so I love that it's not just, hey, let's just focus on the 80%, the vast majority. No, let's focus on how we can help people. That I've heard Richard Hart say, what happens if somebody ends up in jail for a month and then, we don't want them to bleed out. So this is a way that we can help them. And so good accounting is just another sign that they weren't rushing to get HEX out. They were trying to develop an immutable project that would be perfect forever. We don't want to release something that has flaws, and good accounting is a good example of that. So that's what I would pick.
It's funny that you bring up the good accounting function, because you're right. Like, it shows and proves that Richard Hart is really thinking through every single scenario. And you were just mentioning the scenario that there are tax implications when you end a stake. And if you good account, then you can make sure that you do not get the coins right away in your wallet, but you can mint them later on when you decide to do so. But there's another really important feature in this good accounting as well, because if somebody creates a HEX stake, he creates a T-share, and this T-share then is in the pool and basically is diluting me, because now I'm earning less HEX because somebody else has created a T-share, and now HEX is going towards him and not towards me. And now if this person forgets to end a stake, then even after the stake is due, this T-share still exists, and this T-share still earns HEX. And normally, the person that created the T-share should be paying a fee in order to burn the T-share again. But if those people forget it, or for whatever reason they cannot do it, then somebody else should be able to do it in order to burn the T-share, in order to make the system healthy again, so that the distribution of HEX is really going to those people that believe into the system the most. And you're 100% right. Richard really thought about a lot of things to have this healthy system. And look, somebody here in the chat, Rocky, is saying 7.7, and he is probably referring to the price here. And we have 0.076 here on the screener. It's probably 7.7 somewhere if you round it. What do you say about the price? We were just at 1.5 cents, something like this, when we were at the bottom. And now we already did 3x, 4x, depending if you bought the bottom or not. How do you see the market sentiment right now and the price? What do you think the people are saying? Are they happy or not? Is the bottom in?
Okay, so this is something that is probably going to make some people unhappy, but I want to, specifically when I'm on people's channel or I'm creating content, I want to be honest, one, and accurate, two. And because I will be incorrect at times, but with what is going on with, so there's something called the CPI, and that's a consumer price. It's a report basically on us as the consumers, how much we're paying month over month. Are we paying more? Are we paying less, or the same? And then there's also a report called the producer. It's basically just, instead of the consumers, it's the people that are making all the things that we're buying that land up in the CPI report. And so that is going up, and services are going up. And so overall, the quick answer to your question, I do not think. I think that 2022 was very rough for crypto. I think there will be a difficult 2023, but here's the thing. I do actually think HEX has been sort of correlated, but there are things that can depeg or decorrelate from the majority of the market. And an event like Pulse Chain coming out will do that. An event like people just paying more attention and getting excited and ramping up for Pulse Chain, and Pulse Chain having come out, and then the splitting, or splitting may not be the right word, but getting a copy of your HEX on the Pulse Chain. So now we have 2 copies of HEX. I personally believe, if we're going to ask the question, is the bottom in? Absolutely no. No, the bottom is not in. People need to be careful. In terms of HEX, I think it's actually a different discussion, because we've seen it just have a life of its own and do crazy things when the rest of the market was having a tough time. So I think if you're wanting to get into HEX, you need to take a different strategy than if you said, I want to get into the stock market or I want to get into Bitcoin. I would say be careful. Wait to see what the Fed does over the next 2 or 3 meetings. But if you're talking about HEX, with the info that we just got in the latest tweet from Richard Hart, I would say dollar cost average. If you have 10 grand, split that up into, depending on gas fees, split that up into a bunch of pieces and start buying. And I wouldn't wait for it to go back down to 1.8 cents or 1.5, as you stated. I would, that was a great buying opportunity, but I would consider it gone. And if it comes back, that's a blessing. Great. But I don't think the market and HEX are now in the same conversation.
I see definitely what you're saying. For the market, we don't know where it's going. For Bitcoin is really leading the way here. But from what I have seen, I believe the bottom of the crypto market is in. Like you said, we are all waiting for another black swan or for another event that the prices are going down. And I have the feeling everybody's thinking like this, which actually makes me very, very bullish. But also, I'm in HEX. I'm used to that the prices are going up. Just yesterday, I was posting this, and we are at 7.2. This was just yesterday. But what I wrote here is the interesting thing. If you didn't sacrifice for Pulse Chain or Pulse X, what would you buy right now in order to swap it for Pulse Chain later? If you have not sacrificed and you want to already position yourself for the best crypto that there is in 2023, potentially when it comes out, what would you be buying today? So we might as well call this pump the Pulse Chain accumulation pump. Would you agree with me that if you want to get Pulse Chain in 2 months, in 6 months when it comes out, that right now it would be a good buy to get into HEX to prepare?
Oh, I absolutely 1000% agree. You're going to get a doubling. You can decide whatever you want to do after Pulse Chain is released, and that's a whole nother video or series of videos. There's going to be a lot of people that take advantage of all the craziness that will occur with all these copies of all these other coins and the ratios being off, because there will be a lot of weird ratios with these other coins. But in terms of HEX, I've been buying about $400 worth of HEX every single month. It's not a lot. Some people it may be, but I've made a commitment, and I really have been doing it because of the doubling. But I've been doing that, and I said I was going to do it until that specific amount. I did a big chunk, and this was back when I thought Pulse Chain was going to be coming out maybe January. And then, a few months went by, then May, he said May 15th. And then that ended up, being some incorrect information, bad estimate that he got from a developer. And that's fine. But since then I said, I'm going to be doing just $400, and I'm going to just keep doing it every single month. So when I tell people this, I'm telling you what I'm actually doing. Like, I am actually doing this in preparation for the doubling. So if you missed out on Pulse and Pulse X, it's okay. It is going to be okay. Go look at any coin when it comes out. It's a crazy run up and then a big drop. People, especially during the sacrifice, people are going to be in profit. There's been this big delay. They're going to be participating in the market, cashing out, and then the price will drop. You'll get opportunity. But the question is, your dollar right now, if Pulse Chain comes out in a year, your dollar is most likely going to be worth like 95 cents. And that's if we're being optimistic. You're going to be deflated. So if you want to try to take advantage of what's going on, then get into an asset that has the best likelihood of increasing over the next 3, 6, 12 months. And listen, it's pretty obvious that it was very difficult to get below 3 for the longest time in HEX. It dropped down for one short period of time to 1.8, and it is climbed back up. And if good news keeps coming out, even just little tweets, may not seem like big good news, but that has a big effect on the price. Getting in now, I can't see give me a better speculative instrument that has a history. I mean, if you want to gamble, sure, go throw your money into something, but kiss that money goodbye, because you're not going, if you do make money in that way, you just got lucky, and that happens. But if you want something with history that has a story, like, we're not staring at charts, we're telling you a narrative that makes sense for why the price could go up. And that's really, remember, the markets, as you have said so eloquently, they're just ticker symbols, and there's people behind them with emotions that decide to buy, price goes up, and then for whatever reason decide to sell, and then price goes down. So all the emotions behind HEX are very positive right now, and Pulse Chain will come out someday. I don't think it can come out in 2 years. So that means it's got to be probably in the next 12 months. And so I absolutely think the price of HEX will be higher than it is right now, whether it's 6.7 or 7.7. I absolutely think it'll be higher. And even if it's not, stake it for 3 months or 6 months. If you think, hey, I don't think it's going to come out in a year, it'll be more like 6 months. Fine. Stake it for 6 months. And then even if it drops a little bit, you'll be able to make up the difference by having more HEX. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, 100%. The staking is always a really individual situation for every single person, because we do not know how much HEX do they have. What is their long-term horizon? Is it 10 years, 5 years, or is it short-term 30 days? All of those are valid strategies, man. And I'm telling you, I was just about to show you the next tab that I have prepared, which is Richard Hart's Twitter, and then I saw something that really shook me. First, before I want to make my point here, let's bring up this video, because this is how we know Richard Hart. He does outrage marketing, and he is not shy to brag about his Rolex, his Ferrari, and I have this little video here. So let's play that really quick. Yep. I hope it is with sound, and then I show you what I just discovered about Richard Hart.
Okay. Hi, Richard Hart. I own the world's largest diamond. You do not, okay? I don't care what you do. I don't care how hard you work. You can't own the world's diamond, the largest diamond. I own it. Me. You don't. Get that right now. Second, I raised $27 million for charity. You ain't raised $27 million for charity, but you probably think you're a better person than me. Lol, you ain't. I'm the free self-help author that wrote 2 books that you can download for free. I designed a cryptocurrency, went up in price 10,000-fold in 623 days. That's 10,000x. That's 1,000,000%. Perfect, flawless operation for 1,000 days. And if you staked it, you made more. I'm just getting started, man. I got $10 million of wristwatches. Got $3 million in cars. I got the 1,000 horsepower Ferrari. I had the most expensive Rolexes ever made. And I'm doing the world's largest free airdrop. So if you got coins on Ethereum or Ethereum itself, you're going to get a copy of that free on a new network. You only got to do nothing. No sign up, no ML, no KYC, no nothing. It just works. You go play with your coins in a test net right now. It's been working great for 8 months. Pulsechain.com. Hi.
So you see, this is how we know Richard Hart. This is how we love Richard Hart. And now I just went to his Twitter. Let's bring it up together and we look at it. just screen share. And I see in his bio is totally wrecked. There's nothing there anymore. Richard doesn't read messages. No Ferrari mentioned, no Space Diamond mentioned, no Rolexes. I think this is a little awkward. Something is going on here. I think Richard Hart is back to wearing black shirts again and not doing this much outrage marketing. What do you think about that, Luke?
Yeah, I didn't see that. Was that just today, this afternoon?
I just saw it now. I'm as perplexed as you are. What I wanted to show is this number here. We are coming up to 300,000 followers for Richard Hart. It's getting really excited, and everything is just changing. Look at this last tweet here from February 26th. He gave us an update that the bug is fixed, that the testnet V3 is around the corner, and everything is just getting more and more excited. We looked at the price here, and in cryptocurrency we have something really interesting going on, because I don't know if everybody realized that, but we are in a speculative asset, right? If it's Bitcoin, if it's Ethereum or Hex, it doesn't matter. Even if it's the stock market, what are people in this environment doing? They're allocating their money towards the direction that earns them the best yield in the future, or makes them the highest return of investment. And as soon people see green candles like we are seeing here right now, people are rushing in. And in Hex, the people are even in a different situation, because we have pull chain around the corner. We have the best founder, the best products, and we have one of the most important things, a community. You cannot fork a community. This is so important. This is a cornerstone of cryptocurrency, I believe. So let's talk a little bit about the community. You're in Hex since the beginning. You said you know Richard Hart from 2017. Have you seen changes of the community behavior from the early days, from 2017, when it was all about his Stripe trading? It was all about sci-fi, for example. Then he deleted his trading Telegram group, right? The Hex group became bigger and bigger. I believe 50,000 people by now. Pullchain Plus X Telegram group is blowing up, and I think the tweet here, here we have it, the testnet announcement, 540,000 people saw that. So since you are in Hex from the beginning, have you seen changes of the community?
Yeah, like I was in, I think you mentioned it, it cut out a little bit, but there was Telegram called Strawberry Grape, and it was interesting. And there was game theory. Yeah, there's a game theory one that I actually wasn't in, but there would be people that would tweet out certain things, or Richard Hart would talk about it. And it was really fun. If people want to go back, it's all on YouTube still. You can go back and you can listen to these 6-hour, 8-hour long live streams. And there's some really cool historical nuggets of him discussing Bitcoin Hex, what the features are going to be, some features that got cooler, some features that aren't there anymore, some features that like questions like how should this be, asking this community what should we do about this, or what do you think about this? And saw it go from the books that he wrote, Sci-Vive, and he wrote another one. And it was really focused on let's help people, but it's two things. He found two kind of niches. It was cryptocurrency and self-development. And then it kind of mixed the two. And then that kind of went straight into, let me tell everybody the truth about Bitcoin. And that went for, 2018, because there's all these things. Like I was listening to a Joe Rogan interview with Andreas Antonopoulos from 2013. And he said, he's the foremost Bitcoin expert, right? And he said that Bitcoin is deflationary. Well, that's not true. It's disinflationary. It is going down, the inflation, but it inflates. That's why there's people mining. They're competing for the new Bitcoins that are coming out. We don't have all the Bitcoin. That means that the prices are, that the quantity is here, and it's going to be here in the future. So it is inflating. But just to hear him say that It's like, well, I knew that, but I know much more about the situation of Bitcoin because of Richard Hart. So he went from talking about just self-development, then more about crypto, then more about, let me explain really all these things that people have in their head. I have to de-educate them about when it comes to crypto, when it comes to centralized exchanges, when it comes to Bitcoin. And then that led into 2019. 2019 started to be more about his coin, HEX. And then it launches and we turn over to 2020. And it's very much about trying to help people understand HEX and understand all the FUD and the nonsense and the lies that were out there, setting the record straight about the daughter addresses and what HEX really does and why where the ETH goes is the silliest thing in the world and it doesn't matter and it's none of our business. And then that led into, we have a huge problem. This coin is meant for everybody. It's meant for the God whale, and it's meant for the guy who has $100 and he wants to get into HEX and he wants to stake it and he wants to participate. He wants his future to be a little bit better. But guess what? The changes in early 2020, in early 2021 to Ethereum absolutely crushed the HEX community from a gas standpoint. And it didn't crush everybody else in the same way. And so that led to Richard Hart starting to talk about, and he's the leader of the community. The question was, have you seen changes? What has been the evolution of the community? And that changed to, let's talk about Ethereum and what Ethereum's doing. Let's talk about what he would do if he had an L1. And then he announces he starts to build one. And so the community gets bigger and bigger with HEX. But then Pulse Chain comes out, the idea of it, and then the sacrifice, and then 6 months later, the Pulse X sacrifice. And then you start to have little communities of people that think, oh, well, I actually think Pulse Chain is better than HEX. And people say, well, I actually think Pulse X is going to do better than Pulse Chain. And you have these little communities. And then you have some people like myself, and I think like you, we love all three because they solve different problems. And I sacrificed for both. And I have a lot of HEX. But at the end of the day, I've seen the community struggle in the last 6 months. And what I mean by that is it's not everybody. It's actually probably a very small but vocal minority, which is what happens with issues. But when I say the word issue, I just mean it's been hard. Bear markets are hard. And so we need to be forgiving of everybody. But we need to also understand that when things are the worst, that's when your true self comes out. So if I respond poorly to you for being late to an interview, I mean, this didn't happen, I'm making something up, but then that says more about me, that I don't deal well when I'm up against it, when I'm up against a time constraint, when I am not at my best and things are not ideal. I need to be, that's when I need to actually be at my very best. And so I've seen specifically with Zen coming out, I was ready to start my channel in late September. And then the whole Zen announcement and the launch upcoming to the launch, which I think was October 8th, that made me wonder, what do I want to do? Do I want to do, like I said, honesty and accuracy are the two things I want my channel to, like the foundation of my channel to be. And then I want to try to talk about crypto and HEX and Pulse Chain and Pulse X. And I want to onboard people, but I want to reach out to other communities. I want to focus on the 4% of people that are already in crypto, those that have had a bad experience. So I have to talk about other coins, but I still love HEX and I consider myself a Hexican. So it was this weird moment where I felt like the community was scared. And I think for the first time, they saw Richard Hart not doing streams on a regular basis. And that had actually been going on for a while, but it was the first time that had happened. And it looked like there was a copycat to other people, to other Hexicans. It looked like there was a copycat of HEX that was a legitimate threat. And I think we're now beginning with a little bit of time. They say time heals all wounds. with a little bit of time, we're beginning to realize Jack Levin's not a vampire, or at least I don't think, and it wasn't a vampire attack. And so the only real issue I've ever had with the community has been one that has been in the last 6 months. And I hate even wording it like that, but it was, it was an issue to me because I mentally was trying to think, how do I not make people mad, but still do what I think is best? And if I think talking to Jack Levin is best and Richard Hart doesn't, well, that doesn't change the amount of t-shirts I have. That doesn't change my love for him. I can have somebody be upset with me and still appreciate what they're doing. And if that's where this ends up going, I need to be honest, and the saying true to yourself kind of has been co-opted, and it can be used in silly ways. But in this context, I think it's very important and serious. The HEX community is just as great. It's greater than it was at the beginning because strength in numbers, we have way more people. But now there's HEX, which is a great finished product. There's Pulse Chain, which, I mean, that tweet that you just showed, I hadn't seen that. And that makes me think one of two things. And I think it's the first. That means I think Pulse Chain's very close because he's buttoning up, getting everything ready. And then the second thing is it could have to do with the release of the movie. But the fact that he has released some info lately and that he changed his Twitter profile to a more serious, to a more CEO like Twitter profile description, I think it's very bullish and exciting. And when it comes to the community, I think the community had a little hiccup with Zen, not knowing what to think about Zen or Jack Levin. But other than that, I think the community has gone through a crypto winter as everybody else has, but I think we're in the best shape of any community. And I'm more bullish and excited to be a Hexican than I ever have. There was a little blip where I was worried that we were focusing on this one person and project in the wrong way, and it was dividing us. But I think the worst is behind us, and the future is very bright.
I think so too. Like you said it perfectly. It was a little hiccup where people were going after each other, that they were saying, no, this is financial energy that could be going to HEX, or that could stay at HEX. So we don't like that. And this is why I like this approach, this maxi approach. I've been a maxi myself just a couple of months ago, and I just recently changed, right? And that's where I opened my eyes. I realized I personally do not have to be a maxi, but if other people want to be 100% involved in HEX and stake everything and only do this one thing, man, I love it. I think they should go for it. Me personally, since I'm like a little bit more involved, I can look left and right. I can spend a little bit more time. I can do this or that. And obviously the Hexicans, or maybe somebody like Richard Hart would say, well, you're a content creator, you should not do that. But that's their opinion. I have my opinion. And I think it is also something that I was embracing because, in the beginning, we were only like 100 Hexicans when HEX started. We were 200 Hexicans. That nobody was doing something that was outrageous, or that somebody else would not like, because we were a small group. Now our group has gained so many members, 120,000 stakers, that of course eventually it will happen that something will come up that some other Hexicans don't like, and so on. And I think we have the worst behind us. 96% dip. We all survived that. I think the bottom is in crypto in general, in HEX especially, because we have Pulse Chain around the corner. We have whales buying our crypto, and we have something really interesting around the corner. We talked about it already, Pulse Chain, and we have influencers that have the same opinion like me. For example, Moon King B Roots, he's a Hexican, but he also likes other coins. And he is saying, change of mind. HEX is likely the first to have the best ratio for Pulse Chain at the fork. I don't think anything else comes close. Bridging is second best, but better hope the bridge is fast. Not financial advice, and so on and so on. And this really fits for something that we have here in the chat. Bloodmore is saying, Luke, did you sacrifice for Pulse Chain, for Pulse X? If so, what days?
Yeah, so I did sack for Pulse and for Pulse X. So on, I'm trying to remember, but on Pulse, I did day 1, day 2, and day 5. And then on Pulse X, I got caught thinking it would be kind of a repeat and that day one wouldn't be the highest, because basically what happened with Pulse Chain is so basically what happened is you were going to get the best deal in the first 5 days. But it was all the same. Day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were all the same. So you were going to get 10,000 to 1 for $1. So 10,000 Pulse Chain for $1. But I was sacrificing HEX. So I was buying HEX and I was paying attention to the HEX price. So I thought that more and more people would be buying, because that's what happened in Pulse Chain. So I did day 1, day 2, and day 5. And day 5, I think, was the best, if I remember right, for Pulse Chain. For Pulse X, it wasn't like that. The whales, they saw what happened and they sold the price down. And so I did basically day 1 was good, but it was only good for a while. And then I did day 2 and day 3. And so there were 3 main days. But basically it was the vast majority went on day 2.
At the end, it doesn't matter too much if you did day 1, if you did on the last days, it's pretty probably still very much better than people that did not sacrifice at all. And we have Pacific Wagon Group here, for example. He's saying he is all in with HEX staking 200,000 HEX a month, Sec 2, Sec 4, Pulse X, and to buy more Pulse Chain once it launches. And this leads us to the next question. If you have no coiners coming to your show and they're asking, man, I totally missed out on HEX, I missed out on the sacrifices, but now I'm watching all these Richard Hart interviews and your channel is great as well. How should I start? What should I do first? What is your answer?
Okay, well,
when it comes to a strategy to accumulate HEX and then also Pulse Chain, like, what do you think is like the best opportunity, and what would be your advice to such people?
Yeah, so when it's a no coiner, we have to be really careful. We have to make sure that they have a good experience. And so you also can't fire hose them with a ton of information. So if a no coiner came to me and wanted to get in, and I would first try to figure out how much money they had. And if they wanted to get in with anything like $1,000 or less, I would basically do an 80-20. Let them know that HEX is kind of a gateway, that this guy created this project and it had so much success. Past performance is not an indicator of future success. However, we do know that history can rhyme. With saying is it doesn't repeat, but it can rhyme. And so to me, in that context of trying to help a no coiner, I'd say, hey, this is what worked for me. Now we know there's something called the S curve. We know that there's no way that Bitcoin can outdo Pulse Chain over the next couple of years, unless there's something crazy to happen with Pulse Chain. So, but barring that, there's just no way, because early adopters are always going to have the advantage. And same thing was true in 2010, 2011 with Bitcoin. But I would put 80-20, and here's what I would do. 80% I would do in HEX if they had a very small amount, because we are at a relative bottom. I mean, we're still, even though we're at 6.7, we're still down, what is that, 88% roughly. I mean, about 88%, yeah, from 56. So I think over the next couple of years, we will see a new all-time high. And so if they could see even a 3x over the next 2 years, that would make them very happy, because no coiners are used to the stock market. They're used to seeing those type of numbers. Even if they're not participating in the stock market, CNBC's on everywhere, and you'll see the ticker at the bottom of Fox or CNN or MSNBC. And so they're used to these 8%, 10% a year. 15% is great. So I think HEX is a safe bet, but I would manage their expectations. And the 20% would be ETH, because they need it. They need to understand that gas is a part of life, that fees are needed. And then once Pulse Chain comes out, they're going to get a double. And now they're going to have HEX over there. And I think HEX is going to be the first coin that's not Pulse or PulseX to do really well on Pulse Chain. And so that would be my strategy. I also actually want to say that I would take a portion of that 20% and I would teach them that Zen is a way to mint free coins. And if I would show them how to do it, I would set a reminder on my phone and I would put out a stake far enough. And then I would show them that they had the option to sell that for whatever the profit is. And then I would show them how to take that profit and take half of it to buy more Zen, maybe a small batch mint. And then I would take half of it and go buy more HEX. And I would show them that they could keep doing this. And so a portion of the 20% of ETH would actually not just be sitting there for gas. It would be to go and create a couple Zen mints.
Oh, I think you're a little bit more conservative than I am. We have a great comment here in the chat because somebody is saying he is in a similar situation. My sister wanted to get in. She only has $1,000, so the amount that you were just saying as well. So I said if it were me, I would go 1/3 in HEX, wait for Pulse X and Pulse Chain 1/3 and 1/3 in either as well. And with this little amount of $1,000, I believe you have to be really aggressive because you have to have a lot of gains in order to gain financial freedom from only $1,000. You have a little bit of different approach because you're still buying with $400 monthly. And I think that's really smart because now you're leveraging the money that you have with your knowledge of crypto. But a lot of people are seriously like in this example that they only want to do one investment, $1,000, and then write it out. Let's see where this goes. They are really conservative. And if they are like this, I'm saying you have to go into HEX. You have to go into the asset that has the most opportunity for you. And that's why at this point, I'm not trying to talk about any other coins because this is truly the opportunity that I see in crypto 2023 and 2024 going forward with HEX. And then obviously about Pulse Chain. And the reason why I say with your $1,000 you could buy HEX today and then later on decide what you want to do. Remember before we talked about the tweet, the Pulse Chain accumulation pump is what we're having. I believe the people right now that are buying HEX, they are doing so because they probably want to accumulate Pulse Chain and Pulse X in the reason why I'm saying it is smart to buy HEX now, because look, we have been here at the bottom at 1.7 cents. And since then, your investment would have had a 4x already. And this is a best preparation that you can do for Pulse Chain. You had $1,000, now you have $4,000 to deploy in Pulse Chain. And then group is saying here as well, 1/3 leave it in HEX and then the rest goes in Pulse Chain, Pulse X. And I think this is a really sound advice for your sister there that you have. And I think that will. So let's see what else I have prepared here. We don't have too much time anymore. That's why we will skip this part. Don't talk about that too much. Oh, wait. Now my screen is frozen again. I saw that Maximus DAO is bringing out a new product, and they were just announcing that today, actually like 4 hours ago, and it is called Disco Pool. I have not read it myself. We are all watching it now for the first time, and from what I have read so far, it is supposed to be a Maximus, but for the individual. Now, us Hexicans, we can pool together our HEX stakes and make our ticker symbol even with this tool that we have. I think that's really exciting. In the next future, I will definitely do a stream about it, maybe even with Dipcatcher. So that's going to be amazing. From what I heard from you, you are not utilizing Maximus DAO or the perpetuals yet, right? But you want to look into it.
I've actually looked into it back in the day. I don't know about this most recent update, but I mean there's a few things out there that I refer to as orbiters of HEX, like the moon orbiting, right? And I think I throw that in, Maximus into that category. I think anything that accomplishes what Maximus has done, is good. I think Hedron, Icosa, Watsa, I think those are also what I consider to be in a similar category. So I think it's interesting. I think it's worth taking a look at. I don't know about this. I think the concept, what you read just really quickly, is interesting. You know, a DAO where we can take our individual stakes and pull them together. It sounds interesting. I'd have to look into it though.
It definitely has benefits, and I'm excited to explore all these benefits. But the last 10 minutes, maybe we can do it a little bit longer. I want to talk about your YouTube channel, and if you guys would like to check out Luke's YouTube channel, GDP Crypto. Here I have the links to his Twitter and also his YouTube. So let's go there. And here you see you are in crypto in HEX since 2019, but just recently you decided to do a little bit more present online, to have your be active on Twitter and be active here on your YouTube channel. What was exactly the reason that you said, man, now it's the time, now I really have to get started and form maybe an own community to show them about the things that I love? What was the reason for that?
Yeah, so I got in, like I said, I got into HEX December 11th of 2019, and there were people that helped me out, but they didn't even know that they helped me out. And so Trevon's a good example. Even Hexologist, there's a girl, I can't remember her name, but she was very helpful in creating videos for like referral links. Back in the day, that's not a thing anymore. But then also like explaining the adoption amplifier and her strategy, similar to what Trevon is doing. But I have always thought it'd be fun to interview some of these people. But I also think there is a lot of really successful people in crypto on YouTube, but there are a lot of Hexicans, but none that are as big as I think they should be. So two things. I absolutely love what you're doing. I love what Crypto Copy and Big Pep and the Discourse Syndicate boys are doing, and they're all very different. So I wanted to bring a little bit of a different flavor that I thought wasn't actually here. So I want to add value. I want to talk about crypto because there's so many people that don't know anything. I mean, again, 96% of people are no coiners, and even a good percentage of the 4%, they might as well be no coiners because they don't know a lot or they've been fooled by the SBFs of the world. And so I wanted to start a channel because I want to try to bring some entertainment. I want to try to do things like snake drafts, where instead of just talking about, hey, what's the top 5 best influencers in crypto, let's bring 4 people on from the crypto and HEX Pulse Chain community, and let's take turns and let's go in kind of a snake slithering pattern, and let's draft and let's put up, the number 1 pick is Richard Hart and the number 2 pick is Vitalik. And let's talk about why we think so. So let's educate people in an entertaining way. And I felt like there was a lane for me. And I think I really love it when people that I value find ways to make money. I'm the exact opposite of what you've heard a lot in the community. Like, oh, don't turn on ads. No, the algorithm is going to get you to more people if they feel like they can make money off of you. And so if you never turn on Google AdSense, it's fine. I want you to do you, but you're not reaching the amount of people that you otherwise could. And so I want to try to find a way to make this a business where people feel like I'm adding value. Not, it would be very easy. I go on and I look at the research tab of YouTube, and the top 5 things that people are searching for are airdrops. So free money. So it'd be very easy for me to take $300 here, $1,000 here from these people that have projects and just shill this stuff. And there's enough of that. I want to figure out ways, not just for myself, but I want to figure out ways for Jeff over at Crypto Kindness channel, for him to be able to make more money. Because if he can make more money and do it in an entertaining, educational way that adds value and gets more people on YouTube and in the world to hear what he's saying, then we're all going to be better off. And it's not hurting anybody if he has a sponsor, right? So that's another one of my goals, is figure out how to help Hexican streamers. And this is a long-term goal, but help Hexican streamers so that they never have to sell, so that they can make money off of Google and they can make money off of the, ad revenue, or other people, the mainstream. I'm not talking about Coinbase. I'm talking about mainstream advertisers. Like, there's a stamp company in the United States called stamps.com. So instead of going to the post office, you can get the stamps online. Why aren't they on Crypto Kindness's channel, or why aren't they on Maxim Broadcast's channel? I really want them to be. And so I want to try. I don't have the answer yet, but I want to try to jump in, get involved, and maybe add value in that way.
Well, that's amazing that you're doing it, and you're saying that you have been successful with your business in the real world as well. And then at one point you become financial free because you're successful. You are also successful with crypto. And now I want to ask you personally, what makes you get up in the morning? What makes you to start a YouTube channel, and then explain something that is actually really hard to do, that is hard to explain to people that will then call you a scammer, that will maybe bring you down?
Sure.
Because this is what people in crypto are doing, right? So what makes you get up in the morning and do the things that you're doing and always improve?
First off, everybody has it backwards. They will get 10 nice messages and then they'll get one real harsh message. And it really, that will affect them big time in a negative way. It should be the opposite. If you get one awesome message, like if I get you messaging me, like, you have absolutely helped me. This is help. I got into Hex with $1,000 and now it's 10,000. Now I can withstand 10. You're an idiot, Luke, or you're a liar, or, as long as there's no merit to them. If they say, hey, Luke, you really misled us, and there's some truth to that, okay, that's a totally different thing. I can address that. I can feel good about it. But crypto has absolutely, like, I tell people this. I got in with 10 grand into Hex. I'm still buying more because I believe in it, but business has been very good to me. So I want to put time into this because I think I got into solar a while back because I felt like solar was a new renewable energy. There was tax rebates, and there's a bunch of reasons that were going to make it easy for me to show people the value without them having to put a bunch of money in. Like, they could instantly save money. Bills for electricity, bills for energy are very high. I could help them immediately. Same thing in insurance. Everybody that's driving on the road is required by law to have insurance. So if they're with State Farm or Farmers and the price is here, I can save you money immediately. And boom, you've just now purchased something from me that you have to have, but you've actually saved money. And so when I see people putting their retirement in these speculative instruments where the game of the stock market is rigged, and we now know that, but I also see them viewing crypto as this new innovation that's just a scam. And that's not true. It's the people that get all the attention and all the headlines in the news are the SBFs. And so I want to try to illuminate what gets me up in the morning. Not enough people know about you, Crypto Kindness, Maxim Broadcast, Jeff over at Crypto Kindness. I firmly believe in 5 years, everybody that sticks with it and works hard will have 100,000 subscribers. We'll be able to talk about these same things that save people, and we'll be able to make money and keep from selling their crypto. And I know we're running out of time, but I just want to share this one thing. Everybody has to do whatever, no financial advice. You got to do whatever you need to. But if you take $20,000, initial $20,000, and we've heard Richard Hart say you could sell on a double, you could sell on a double, you could sell on a double, and he's trying to show you how many times Hex has doubled. Well, if you had $20,000 and it doubles, well, now you have 40,000. If you sell half of that, every time it doubles, you could pull out 20 grand and you would have less coins. But if you started with 1 million coins and $20,000 and then it doubled, well, now your 1 million coins are worth 40,000. But if you sell half of them, well, now you only have 500,000. If you do this 10 times and then you cash at the end of 10 times, you have $220,000. You've cashed out 20,000 10 times and you still have your initial 20,000, but now you only have 900 coins. And if I did that and you decided I'm going to take my 20,000, stake it, leave it alone, not touch it, you would have $20,480,000. So again, $20,260,000 more than I would. If people can take a percentage of the money they have and sit it in HEX, stake it, forget about it, there will be stories like that. That is absolutely going to happen. I don't know when. It may be 2 years, 5 years. I don't know. But I do know this. That's generational money for the vast majority of people. That is life-changing money. $220,000 is great. That is no longer generational money. And so the story of my channel is I've been absolutely blessed in life with great family, with luck and success because of the principles that I try to live every day. And I'm not perfect, but I try to do them better and better and better. And I want to make this work because so much value has been added to me already that if I do this for 3-4 years full time and I never make any money, I'll still be way ahead because I have been able to buy crypto and just hold for long periods of time. And that's the way that you really get to a point where you feel financially free. And not many people get to feel that, but it's an amazing feeling. And I want to try to help even just one person. And it's fun is another thing. The other thing that gets me up is this is fun. You learn so many more things. I want to be old and knowledgeable in lots of areas. And so what gets me up in the morning, great community, and it's a blast being a part of it.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. And that's really motivating. You know, I can really see that you, Luke, you are what embodies a true Hexican. You are in from the early beginnings. You made your gains. You're successful in real life. You have really good values. And now the most important thing is you want to share it with the community, with people outside of our community, to have them experience the same things, to gain, to have them gain financial freedom. And this is, I think, what we Hexicans are all about. We want to make a change in this world, and in order to do that, we need to have people participating to basically end corruption and to end all the suffering that we have in the world. It's just crazy what is going on, and I think it's like a parody. I know I have the answer for the world. I can make the life of every single person better so easily, right? I just need to be able to transmit this this idea, this philosophy that we have of this way of living. And I see that the Hexicans are doing it better than any other crypto community. Luke, I want to thank you so much for being here, for everything that you are doing. I want to thank you guys in the chat for being here, participating, engaging, liking, and subscribing. That really helps the channel. It motivates me to do more and really bring the eyes to HEX that it really deserves. And if you got any value out of the stream today, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you watch this video later on, then also put a comment below in the video section. That would help us as well. Thank you guys. I will now play the outro. Please give me a little feedback of what do you think about the outro? How do you like it? I think it's really touching, and we are out of here. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Thanks, David. Thanks, guys.
And God only knows what great things we could manage under such conditions. We're becoming incredibly technologically powerful. And what would it be if we became, what would it be like if we became equally wise? Well, that would really be something. God only knows what we could manage in the next 20 years or the next 100 years, you know? We're running at 40%, most of us. you know, because we're half in and half out. And it's not surprising because life is difficult. It's like, well, what if you were 90% in or 95% in or all in? Because you're all in anyways, right? It's a life and death game. No one gets out of this. Everyone dies. You might as well commit yourself. And you might as well commit yourself to the highest good that you can attain, because why not? It'll imbue your life with meaning. It's hard, the responsibility's there, but all the meaning's in the responsibility, and that'll make your life better. It'll make your family's life better, and it should make your culture better. Maybe it make the world better. It's like, that'll justify your damn miserable existence at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're wondering what the hell you're doing here. And that's a good thing, because there's going to be days when you're aching and tired and sore, and there's people in your family that are sick, and you're cynical and bitter, and you need a reason to get up, and you think, yeah, well, a little more heaven and a little less hell, maybe I can pull that off today and tomorrow and next week. And that's worth struggling forward for.